Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Notice is given that the Board of Adjustment for the City of Castle Hills is meeting this evening at 5:30 p.m. at City Hall in Castle Hills, Texas, to cover the following agenda. There is a quorum tonight, and before we start, we're going to omit items 3 and 4 from the agenda. These items should not have been placed on the agenda because the board had acted on this variance previously. So it has been removed from the agenda tonight. So we're starting with item number 5, which is a public hearing on an application for sort of skipped something. The consent agenda, approval of the Board of Adjustment meetings for November 27th, 2023. Is there a motion? Thank you, Mr. Aiken. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Lopez. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Now, back to item number 5, public hearing on an application for Victor De La Fuente for a variance for an addition protruding passing the front of his house line on the property located at 123 Moss and is contrary to section 50. Additional house front additions to residential structures shall not protrude past the front of the house line of the official Castle Hills Code of Ordinances. The first part of this is, other than the applicant, is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak on this issue? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. It is 5:31. If there's no one wishing to speak, I'm closing the public hearing. No. Wait a minute, Mr. Holden. Hold on now. Are you the applicant? Are you? Okay, thank you. That's why I said, is there anyone that wants to speak on this issue? So if you have a seat, we'll start again. The public hearing, it is now 5:31. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone wishing to speak during the public hearing portion of this hearing? Yes. Thank you. Would you step up, please?
My name is William Holden. I live at 119 Moss. We don't know what this person wants to do. We don't know if this person is the owner of the home. We have no information. We haven't been approached by this person. We don't have any idea what they want to do to the property. So we're not going to just sit back and say, yeah, it's okay with us. If they're going to block our view, if they're going to interfere with the migration of the wildlife, I mean, we don't know what's happening over there. That property's in disrepair and somebody's bought it. We don't know if they're flipping it. We don't know anything other than we've been invited to this meeting, and that's about all I have to say.
That's fine. Thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone wish to speak during the public hearing portion of this? Okay, now let me clarify something, just so you know. The public hearing portion is something that is usually based on information that's been put out, okay, not information that is not put out. The board itself has received a packet, but has not received the presentation, which you will be privy to, and you will also have a chance to speak again, just so you know. It's a two-phase thing. So if you would like to speak at this time, you're welcome to. But you will have an opportunity to speak again if there is a motion on the table after the presentation. Would you wish to speak now, or do you want to wait? Come right on up to the mic. I'm sorry, we got to. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be short on this. It's sort of, in a way, it seems sort of backwards, but it isn't. Okay.
Understand. So Darren Shalinsky, 121 Moss Drive. So just here, curiosity. Again, just no information. So just wanted to learn what it's all about. And then thanks for helping educate on kind of the process. So
Okay.
I'll wait for the presentation.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. During the public hearing portion, is there anyone else that would like to be heard? Okay, since there's no one else to be heard, it is now 5:34. We're going to close the public hearing. And is there a motion to discuss this item? Motion to approve so we can discuss it. The motion has been made by Justin. Is it seconded? by Cassidy. Okay, you're up. Are we doing this on boards instead of presentation, or do we have any PowerPoints on this, or? That's fine. Just bring your boards up, but remember we're sort of presenting to the board, but make sure these guys get to see what you're doing. Ah, is it there? Okay. Is Louis here? Okay, but that's okay. If that's easier for everybody to see it all at the same time, if it's up on the screen. Is there anything that's going to be on the screen that you don't need your boards? Is there anything on your boards that's not going to be on the screen? Perfect. Then why don't you come up here and talk it through for us? We don't need that. As long as we can see it on the screen, we're good.
The rest of the stuff I have is what I've already given you.
Perfect.
That's it. So
Would you tell us who you are?
my
And
name is Victor De La Fuente. I'm here with my wife, Lisa De La Fuente. In October, we purchased this home. And we've been living in the same house. We've been married for 30 years, living in the same house on the south side of San Antonio. This is our very first time we're gonna actually move from where we grew up, our kids grew up, and this is basically our house that we want to, just continue to be empty nesters, because that's what we are today now. 4 kids, 3 already have graduated from university, and my last little girl, she's about to graduate in the next semester. So when I first purchased this whole house, I was under the impression that based off of what I saw in the survey, that I was 20 feet from the setback where I could actually add to the house. So I started right away from the beginning. Actually, I got under contract in July. I've been under contract since July, and the seller wasn't able to move real quick. I gave him all the time he needed to move, and I wasn't able to close till finally October 11th. So 3 months, we were patient until he finally moved all his stuff, and we closed. And that day, I hired an architect to the drawings that I had to put it to life so that we could get started. And I came to visit with y'all so that we can get an approval of an addition of 436 square feet. We're gonna be adding to the master suite area. Back in those days, the house has a very, very small restroom. Actually, the shower, I bump into it. It was just not gonna be big enough. I'm a pretty big guy. So I'm adding to the restroom. It's what this square footage is going to be. And I'm adding them his and hers closet, his and her vanity, sink, a tub, and a shower, and a potty room with a fitness room. Because obviously, this is the first time in our life we're gonna have a swimming pool in a house. So I think I need to work on my shape.
okay,
So that's actually what I'm gonna be adding to this, a fitness room in the corner. I've given you the actual rendering of the floor plan so that you could see how exactly it's gonna be. I've done all this myself. This is what I do for a living. I'm a realtor, but I also buy houses and I flip houses. When I found this house, I fell in love with
This
this house, and I'm gonna make it my house.
Tom.
So
Got it.
my wife and I are gonna move into this house. This is gonna be our home. And
Let's talk about the footprint, the actual plan, okay? The addition, and we're all looking at it, I suppose, right now. Do we have the slide of the footprint? Brian?
yes. Not on this one, but on the one that I gave y'all to get a septic.
No, we have that. It isn't on the slide. Okay, do you have that on that board?
On this board,
The
I
footprint.
do.
You have that one?
Not on that one. That's just
Okay.
those 2 pictures. That's all I got.
That's fine. I just want to make sure these guys get a chance to look at where that's going. That's it, that little piece. Nothing. It's all right. We're good. Okay, and let's just let them keep the piece of paper and we'll walk through it. So it's my understanding the only variance that has been applied for, and Louis, correct me if I'm wrong on this, is the addition 436 feet in the front, which is the little square corner. That's the only variance question we're being asked to do,
Yes, sir. It's the intrusion of the addition into the legal front of the house.
the front yard.
Correct.
Okay. Now, according to my very bad eyes, it looks like you're coming out 14 feet. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Also, on inspection of the property, and guys, forgive me for walking through this. If you have any questions, stop me. There is a heritage oak tree over in that corner.
Yes, sir. I'm going around.
And I saw that you're moving back around
Yeah,
that.
I'm not cutting that tree. I want that tree.
What kind of foundation are you going to do, sir?
My engineer recommended me going with a pier and beam. I do not want to go with that. I wanted to go with slab, but I'm gonna go based off whatever he tells me because I've been using him for many years and he knows what he's doing.
Okay, because I will tell you that is, even though you are circumventing the oak tree, if you put
Slab.
a slab, you're going to be cutting into the root system.
Yeah, he told me that. So
Okay,
I'm doing
good.
whatever he stamps the approval on. That's it.
Okay, because please be aware, that is a protected heritage oak tree.
Yes,
So,
sir.
okay. By the calculation that I see, there will be a remaining 61 feet between your proposed front and the street.
Yes, well, actually 64.
You figured 54? Okay,
64.
you're the builder, so that 64.
I'm sorry, 66. I apologize.
56, okay, because
66.
66. All
Yes.
right, I was being conservative at
Yeah, there's
61,
60-foot setback. I'm going 14 feet. The house is at 80 right now.
right?
So I'm adding 14. There's still 16 left. So that's
Okay, to clarify for the board, there will be
66.
61 feet from the
66. 66.
66.
Yes.
Feet.
66 feet.
Okay. Let's hang on just a second. Mr. Lopez, some questions, sir?
So you still have a lot of room between the fence line and the proposed what you're building to the side and the front?
Yes, sir.
How much?
Well, so from the sides, it's not, I'm not adding anything to the sides. It's still gonna be at, which is 39, it's right here on the survey, 37.5 feet. So I'm just adding towards Moss. No, I'm not adding to the sides. I'm keeping the same length of where the house is going.
And for clarification, how far are you going forward? How far do you want to go forward?
14 feet.
14 feet.
Yes, sir. On one part, on the main part, and then on the other part, there's only 6 feet, which is where the tree is. I'm only gonna add a potty room in that little section right there, and I'm going around the tree. So you could see the tree there and how I'm going around it. And the only section that's adding to the existing part is where the potty room's gonna be. I did that on purpose because the sewer line's going to the front part of Lock Hill Selma. And so that way it could be as economical as possible and not have to move, put the sewer line on to the other side. So,
And that's all I got.
Thank you.
thank you.
Cassidy? Thank you. Justin?
Your front door, this covered entry
Excuse me?
on this plot here, where's your front door facing?
It's actually facing Lock Hill Selma. So, I mean, there's really a technicality here. The front of my house is facing Lock Hill, not Moss. But I do know that your code is, the front part is Moss because that's my address. So, but the front side is Lock Hill Selma.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Tom?
Been working on this for a while, right?
Yes, sir, I have. Yes, sir. As soon as I closed, I mean, I was patient to wait to close 3 months. Like I said, I was under contract since July. Couldn't do anything because it was in my house. But as soon as I closed October 11th, the architect was there that day. I met with her right there. I was like, look, okay, it's mine now. We signed. Here's a check. Please get started. And she did. She told me in 2 weeks she was gonna have the plans done. Unfortunately, it took her over 2 months, right before Christmas.
This is from Lock Hill Selma. This is looking at your, what you call the front, there's the front door.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Over on the left side, picture we're looking at.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
From a historical perspective, like many homes in Castle Hills, the front of the house, as the post office recognizes it as people who have had homes that have lived in them a while, the side door becomes the front door. But it's still legally the address, and that's why the variance has to be to go that way.
So, what does the code say about how far forward you can go?
As far as we can, as far as we let them. No, but as I said, he's got 66 feet left. And if he was asking for, and I'm speaking personally, not for y'all, if he was going to come out 40 feet or 30 feet, adding a new great room or something like that, where it would change visibility, change outlook, something like that, I might personally have a problem with it. If they were going to cut down the heritage oak tree, I'd have a problem with that. 14 feet out of 80, I personally don't have a problem. However, thank you very much, sir. Why don't you sit tight in that first chair just for 1 second? Gentlemen, do y'all have any questions that you want to think about or want us to think about? Come on up if you do. We usually don't do it this way, but we want to make sure we get the idea of what's happening here.
While I certainly understand this gentleman's frustrations about what he's gone through with the purchase of this home, I do object to 14 feet being added on to the side of that house, because it's going to change the entire view. It's going to change the way it looks. I know he objects. He lives right next door. There's more than enough space on that property inside the fenced-in area to add way more than 500 square feet if that's what he needs. He can do that without protruding 14 feet out towards Moss. I would rather him redesign it so that the add-on goes into that fenced-off area that hasn't been used in 20 years, that's adjacent to the pool, that doesn't have big heritage oak trees in the way. There's nothing in there. Just all they need to do is just clear it out and then add on that way. And he won't encroach on the side of the property, on the setbacks on that side of the property at all. And it won't change the view from his perspective or my perspective when we walk out our front door and look towards Lock Hill Selma.
We appreciate your comments. Thank you. Sir, did you have anything you wanted to mention?
Thanks. A question, that tree, that heritage oak, how far away is that from the house currently?
From the house currently?
Yeah, so when
I-
I agree
I-
that you're gonna notch around, how far away is it? 12 feet? Okay, I'm trying to visualize what 14 feet looks like past that oak tree. Yeah, okay. So my wife and I, we talked about it, and we agree that it would be too far out to the current sight line that we have to that part of the road of Lock Hill Selma. And also, yeah, so we would object to it to be
Okay.
that far out. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Does anyone else have any questions or comment on the board? Yes, ma'am. Cassidy?
This is the corner lot, correct? And so the addition is going to be on the corner, essentially, right? Is there somebody behind you? Another one of your neighbors behind you?
Well, if you look at the house behind, but according to what you're seeing, it's just the side.
Well, so if you're facing Moss, the house from Moss, there's somebody to the left of you?
On the corner, if I'm facing on, Mr. sorry, he's next to it.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Justin?
I'm sorry, can you step? When
It's
you
Dar-
discussed
Darren
your,
Shalinsky.
sorry,
That's
when
okay.
you discussed your sight line, can
Mhm.
you, what are you trying to see? Like, what would it block you from viewing? You said the road, is that a safety issue for you? Or, because my understanding Moss just goes into Lock Hill, right?
Yeah, it does.
We would,
When we come out of our, the front of our house lines up with that. And we have a good view of everything along from the front of the house as it exists. 123, the neighbors. So we like to be able to see that. We've got kids and we can, they when they come out, they can see kind of the whole thing, people walking on the road or just anything in general. There's also wildlife that moves at any given kind of part of the day from that side of Lock Hill Selma across. So I don't know if there's an obstruction there that would occur as well to the current paths that wildlife take.
okay, thank you.
I will remind the board, based on that, and I've seen it written, and that we have, again, our our variances for a 14-foot front of house expansion. We do not, we ventured into areas that aren't in our purview, like wildlife movement, things like that. Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of granting the variance, say aye. All opposed, it's unanimous. Thank you very much, sir. The variance is granted. Number 7 is a public hearing on an application from Robert Price for a variance for a garage encroaching on the side setbacks of a property located at 205 Tamworth. It contrary to section 5064 area regulation side yard setbacks. Is Mr. Price, you're not up yet. Please. Thank you. Bless his heart. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that wishes to speak in the public hearing section? Anyone wishes to speak? It is 5:53. The public hearing is now open. Being there's no one to speak, it is now 5:54 and the public hearing is closed. Mr. Price, would you come up, please? Tell us who you are and where you live, please.
My name is Robert Price. I live at 205 Tamworth. What I'm requesting is a variance. I have a carport. My house was my father's house, and before that, it was his best friend's house. It was part of the parade of homes of 1957 in the neighborhood. It has a carport that was erected commensurate with the building of the house. And it was on at that time, it was a 5-foot setback from the side yard. And the house was built fairly close to the carport. So we would like to build, the carport is now 67 years old. It has a corrugated steel roof, no insulation. The corrugated steel is obviously in fairly bad shape. Other than that, the outline is just 2x4s. I think originally the whole structure was covered with cedar, One wall is still covered with cedar, 67 years old. It's in bad shape. And we've sort of just simply been ignoring the problem of trying to bring it up to date, and finally did. And that's when we realized that somewhere in the interim of 67 years, they've changed the code and there's a 10-foot setback. So we decided to file a variance. I've given the chairman 2 letters, one from each side of our house, that show no objection to doing what we're doing. The one of most concern is Mrs. McCormick, who I think a number of people know on the board, who has no objection herself, and said, in fact, to say hello to everybody. Today, I got the paperwork done today, and we the big problem is we have a difficult problem with the way the carport was the house and the carport were situated, that we have to back out and then go all the way down and then down the driveway backwards. And that's how close it is to the house. And so if the board were to deny the variance request, it would be that much more difficult to get out of the garage and try to make the turn and back off.
Great. May I ask a couple of questions, please, sir?
Yes, sir.
The actual footprint of the structure is not changing, is that correct?
I had planned to add 1 foot to one side just so we could, we're trying to maintain the space, but we wanted to insulate the walls and make it a proper garage. We want to finish off the inside with plywood.
But the
right.
concrete foundation will remain
No,
primarily the same?
it also, unfortunately for me in the house, it has a asphalt driveway. It's about the only, there, in the whole course of Tamworth in Castle Hills, there are only 2 other houses that have asphalt, and we want to remove that and have poured a proper concrete driveway and build a proper garage with garage doors. It's just an open carport.
Great. But the actual, again, let me rephrase that then. The roof line by your new plan will only expand 5 inches. Is that correct? Aren't you expanding an eave?
Sure. Yes. And then
And-
the back part of the garage that goes to an outbuilding, we have 13 feet and we only need 3 feet, and we were going to extend the garage 3 feet back.
But that doesn't encroach. We're talking about
Oh, the
encroaching
encroachment?
the
The
side,
encroachment is just
the side
the
setback.
side yard.
And the original garage was in compliance when it was built, because at that time it was only 5 feet rule in
Yes,
Castle
sir.
Hills.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mrs. McCormick on her side, if I remember correctly, has about 40 feet between her sidewall and your garage, at least. And I say this
Oh,
for fire. She has at
Sure.
least 40 feet. So, okay, but I didn't ask my questions. Tom? Justin?
So it's 5.5 feet that he's asking for?
He's asking for 5.5 feet.
Okay, and that includes your foot that you just talked about?
Yes.
yes, sir.
Okay, that's it.
Cassidy? Mr. Lopez?
So you're not tearing down the whole garage run, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's about to fall down.
Oh, the whole thing is
Yeah,
coming down.
It's literally something you and I would build. I'm not throwing rocks at you. I would build. And it is simply a studs, open studs covered, and then it has a lean-to garage, a lean-to shed roof that just goes from the high point to the back point. And we want to put a pediment or gable roof there.
And it's going to be connected to the main house, just,
No,
no?
sir. No, it's
separate?
gonna, it would never, no, we would love to do that. But we can't, I mean, just physically can't. And then of course, the top of the gable is not any higher than any other point of the house. And we're just gonna build a 7.5 foot ceiling in the garage, or 8, I guess we have to make it 8 feet. 8-foot ceiling and then just cover it with the same angle as the house, degree of angle to make it match.
And is there, utilities connected to that garage, electricity and all that?
Not at the moment. We will connect some electricity. There's no other, there's no water or anything. We're not doing anything with the garage except building a garage and maybe some shelving if we can.
That's all I got.
Yeah, there's no water connection at all. And it's not-
Louis-
there's no, it's not a, we're not putting a laundry room or anything.
Okay.
We have a proper laundry room in our house. We're lucky to have that.
Louis, I need to ask you a question. Mr. Price has shared with us that he's going to do a concrete driveway. Is he going to need a variance for that driveway?
A variance, no.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. I was trying to clear that away. Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of approving the variance, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Mr. Price, thank you very much. Your variance is approved.
Thank you. And I'll give my regards to Ms. McCormick for you.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, if she would have showed up tonight, it would have scared me. So I'm glad you brought the piece of paper. Thank you. Being no other business in front of the board, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.